Martha, this is the first letter of this sort I have ever written.
Ray was a con man who made one mistake. He fell in love and took Martha along for the ride.
I can arrange a meeting with a very nice woman in New Orleans.
There's no harm in writing to somebody who's so gentle and refined, and whose sister is a nurse.
Ray and Martha could have been the honeymoon lovers, but Martha's insane jealousy turned them into the honeymoon killers.
You hear from my lawyer. Get the hell out of here!
Get rid of her! Show her! I don't care what you do with her!
Please!
Jealousy led Martha and Ray down one of the darkest paths in the annals of American crime.
You're the hottest bitch I've ever seen.
And I don't have to take that from you.
Oh, my God. She's dead.
If you've never heard of Martha and Ray, see The Honeymoon Killers, then try to forget them.
She's in love with you. I can tell. So what?
Jealousy turned each perfect setup into a nightmare.
You promised!
Get rid of her! Show her!
Do you realize that with your stupid jealousy, you could have gotten me into trouble?
I'd rather see you in jail than making love to another woman.
If you've never heard of Martha and Ray, see The Honeymoon Killers, then try to forget them.
I don't want the checks back. No, I don't want them back. I'm not going to call Sarah. All right, Ray. I just want to go for a walk by myself and think things over.
If you've never heard of Martha and Ray, see The Honeymoon Killers, then just try to forget them.
Welcome to a night of total terror. Night of the living dead, the dead who live on living flesh. The dead whose haunted souls hunt the living whose bodies are the only food for these ungodly creatures. Night of the living dead. A bizarre adventure in fear. An experience in shock, more shattering than your strangest nightmare. Night of the living dead. A night with the dead who cannot die. A night of total terror. Night of the living dead.
I love how the trailer has music that does not appear in the film whatsoever.
That's your Bill's dream double feature next week. The Honeymoon Killers and Night of the Living Dead. Super exciting.
You know, I've been dying to put those two movies together for the entire run of the show, and the time just wasn't right. Well, it's right. And, you know, Night of the Living Dead is a little high profile for our show, I think. Mm-hmm. But so what?
Yeah, we're doing it. You can be a sponsor of next week's show by making a donation of any amount. And we'll put your name in lights. PayPal, groovydoom@gmail.com. And you can sponsor Night of the Living Dead and be part of the show. And the Honeymoon Killers.
Hey, thanks again to Patrick for sponsoring this weekend's program.
Yeah,
very happy to have you viewing, and all of you who come here to hang out with us on Saturday nights. It's a lot of fun, right? Yeah. I think.
Totally. I think it totally.
I hope.
So many questions. Was she an alien all along?
This is, I want to understand how that worked, because, I mean, she got pretty chummy with him, and he didn't know she was, it was pretty gross underneath once she tore the skin off. So I mean,
Yeah.
was she always like that?
Is the other alien her child? I would maybe. Did she
Hope
get
so.
turned into an alien by making mind contact with them? Or maybe I'm thinking too much about this. But
Yeah.
also, most important question: why did that guy get in the tub with jeans on? He just I know Florida's hot. I know that you're like always some level of moist, but that seemed ridiculous. Yeah. Why did being attacked by the monsters make the victims spit colored foam? Great question. Why did they get old sometimes?
Yeah,
whenever
like they
got
didn't look
killed?
eaten. They looked like they were a corpse that had been dug up from the earth after about 40 years.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah. As Fred said, there's a lot happening in this movie. There's a lot of things appearing and disappearing and people shooting things and so I mean that part of there's that. They got 2 boobs in it, and that's probably sells
2
it
boob
because
shots. There were
2
technically
boob
4
shots, yeah.
boobs.
4 boobs, yeah. My wife said that the Angelique Pettijohn boob scene was completely unrealistic. No woman wears a bra like that. And I said, but they could. She did not take it well. She's not sleeping.
She did it for effect. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
She did. You know what? If you got them, show them.
Well, she had them.
She did. Yeah.
Angelique Pettyjohn. She was in Mad Doctor of Blood Island, one of those Blood Island movies. Pretty sure. And she supposedly had sex with John Ashley in the movie For Real.
Yeah. I mean, good for John Ashley.
Yeah, he got the better end of that bargain.
Yeah. I think he did fine. You know what I mean? He's in Blood Island, though. So I'm looking up this Angelique Pettijohn, other movies that she was in, Bill. Let's go through them.
Well, a lot of her movies she made adult films.
Yeah.
As Fred talks about in the second interview. About to start.
Yeah. She did Burlesque. She was a featured showgirl at the Vive Paris Vive at the Aladdin Hotel. And she was also in the Maxim Hotel and Casino and was also part of Miss Nude Universe at True Old Time Burlesque at the Joker Club in Vegas. As late as 1979, she was in Playboy in a pictorial of the girls of Vegas. And at that point, she would have been 36. So that's, pretty good for Playboy. Playboy usually likes the younger. She's in The Touch of Her Flesh. She plays Claudia Jennings. That's the name of her character, Touch of Her Flesh. So I wonder if that's any relation.
They wish.
Yeah, I know. She's in Clam Bake, The Odd Couple. She's a go-go dancer in that. She's in The Curse of Her Flesh in a flashback. Yeah, Mad Doctor of Blood Island, like you mentioned. The Love God with Don Knotts. Goodbye Cruel World. Repo Man. She plays one of the Repo wives. She's in The Lost Empire. She plays Whiplash in that.
What are some of her adult titles that she did?
You know what? They don't list them on.
Well, you probably have to enable adult. There's like a feature on IMDb. You have to.
I am in the IMDb now. Here's some. Stellag 69. She played the interrogator. Body Talk. Titillation. Hold on, still loading.
I'm sure she had I'm sure she had a very business-like attitude towards her adult films.
Yeah. She also designed the costumes for Mike Jitlov's The Wizard of Speed and Time, a movie that was always advertised in Starlog, and I was dying to see it. How about the reference to It's Only a Movie that was said like a robot while she was sitting in the bathtub?
Only a movie.
Only a movie.
I mean, you never saw people going like this in that TV. I guess they're referring to the TV spot for Last House on the Left and the radio spot.
Yeah. Yeah. She Claudia Jennings took her stage name from the character she played in Touch of Her Flesh. I just found that. So how about that?
There we go.
That seems like IMDb bullshit to me. I'm not just because it's on IMDb.
Right.
It's not true.
It hasn't been fact checked.
It hasn't been fact checked. But you know what? That seems like something I'd like to believe, right? Wouldn't you? We'd like to believe that. We'd also like to talk about Claudia Jennings. So whatever gets us there.
All right, so let's get to the second part of our interview with Fred Olen Ray with me, Sam, and Jennifer Upton. So here we go.
Alligators in the backyard today. They're not like the one that was laying out there, the 9-footer. The 9-footer walked off. I don't know where the hell he went. But the other day I looked out there and I saw one. He couldn't have been 3 feet long. And then today I saw him again and I went, oh, there's that little 3-foot gator. The rain must have brought him. And I looked, oh, there was a second one with him. And he's like, tell your friends, right?
Yeah.
Tell your pals. Now there's two back there.
They're waiting for you, Fred.
You know what? They're pissed off because I smoked one about that size in my smoker out back about 6-7 months ago. I put a 7-pounder on the grill. And,
does it taste like chicken? Everyone says it tastes like chicken.
You know what? I actually smoked some barbecue, some short spare ribs, thinking that nobody here would eat the alligator. But the alligator tasted exactly like the barbecued ribs. It went 100% went. And everybody ate it. You know, I didn't catch it or kill it. I bought it already dressed out, and I just put it in the smoker, and it was great. Everybody loved it. So when in Florida.
Yeah, you're no longer in Hollywood. You were hell bent for Hollywood, and now you're
Hollywood, Florida, maybe.
You know what? I was living in Hollywood, Florida, and that's one of the big places that flooded today. So I don't live there anymore. I moved over to the other coast. I was living over near Bill Griffey and Doug Hobart and I'm over in near Tampa. I grew up in this area. And I made my 8mm films in this area.
That William Griffey box set is probably one of my favorite box sets that I own.
I think I'm in that documentary about him, so I did get a copy of that.
Yeah.
And that Impulse DVD or Blu-ray they came out with lately, they have a copy of The Godmothers on there.
Yep.
Which was a tax shelter movie by a guy named I think his name was Mike Viola. And it was a terrible movie. And we always talk about it every time I see Bill. I go over there and I take Bill and I take Doug and I take them out to lunch about every 3 months. And it was one of the worst films. It's probably the worst film Bill was ever involved in. It was a great copy. That's the way film fans are today. Terrible movie, but what a wonderful copy.
That's true. That's true.
Wonderful copy.
Did you ever meet Bob Emery?
You know, Bob Emery's going to be at this Tampa Screams thing I'm going to be at in 2 weeks. He made some of my favorite movies. And I met Joe Wizicki years ago I tried to buy his movies, but he wouldn't sell them to me. Bob Emery made Ride in a Pink Car, one of my all-time favorite Florida-made films. It's shot down the road from me at a place called Rabonia. I keep telling people that Rabonia is just down the street from here, and they say, what's Rabonia? Even people who live here say, what's Rabonia? So Rabonia is not a town. It's where 2 roads cross, and there's usually at the time of Ride in a Pink Car with Glenn Corbett and Morgan Woodward, and Big John Hamilton. It was made down here at Rabonia, which is just where one road crosses another. And there's a gas station, a little store. And it's where they pick strawberries. And I don't know if you've heard of Ride in a Pink Car, but it was produced by John Carroll, who played Zorro, one of those 1940 serials, John Carroll. Zorro's Black Whip, I think it was called. But Glenn Corbett was a fairly big star, and he was in one of the big Star Trek episodes, and he was in the John Wayne movies. He was in the Star Trek episode where him and Sally Kellerman had the blue sparkling eyes, had the brain thing. But Glenn Corbett was in a bunch of John Wayne films. Bob Emery made this movie where the guy comes back to town and he's an ex-con and they're trying to kill him. He's a half-breed Indian or something. Anyway, but it was one movie that he steals a pink Cadillac and there's this car chase type movie. But Bob's still alive. Amazingly enough, I didn't know he was still around, but apparently he's going to be in 2 weeks. He'll be at this convention. I hope. So maybe I'll get to meet him. My dad did Fireball Jungle, which had John Russell and Lon Chaney. And I thought Bob Emery might have been involved in that. There was another guy named Rene Martinez, who was another Tampa filmmaker who made about 4 films. Most of them have been lost for time. He made 2 of them with Carol Connors, who played the nurse in Deep Throat. She had a small window of celebrity. Now she was, I think I told you, this is in the book. She hung around Biohazard. She was friends with Angelique Pettyjohn, and she was married to a guy named Joe Banana, and he had a band. I think it was called I hate to say it, was called the Joe Banana Experience or something. And we would show the cut scenes. We had a rough cut of the scenes of Biohazard. We would show them to potential investors. And Angelique would come to the screening at the lab. That's where we'd have them. And Carol, they would come with their tits hanging out. Which I said this, it felt very Ed Wood-like. These stars of the movie would come to the screening and try to influence these investors. And it never worked. It never worked. And Angelique would walk out of the screening and the investors would go off. And she looked at me one time and she said, if I was ever meet Steven Spielberg, I would just drop down on my knees and give him a blowjob for all the great movies he's given the world. I said, I wish you felt that way about our investors. We might have the money to finish this movie right now. And Carol Connors and she made these movies in Tampa. She made one called Young, Rich, and Ripe, and it was a kidnapping movie. And she made one called Road of Death, which was a motorcycle movie. Fortunately, Something Weird Video put it out. They put it out on DVD. It's unwatchable, but they did find an old print of it and put it out. And it's all master shots. There's no editing in it. There's no cutaways or anything. I've not been able to sit through it. But this guy, Rene Martinez, he made about 3 movies, and they're all made in Tampa. And I said, I'm a big collector of movies made in Florida from that exploitation time. There was one with Claudia Jennings. Maybe Bob Emery made it.
Willie and Scratch?
Yes, I have a press book for it that has all the synopsises and ad mats and stuff. And
You
I've
don't
got
have a print, do you?
No, I wish somebody did.
It's
And
not.
I worked for Luke Moberly, if you know who he was. He had Cinema City in Davie, and he made a couple movies, but he made one movie that actually went somewhere. It was called Little Laura and Big John. And I think it might be on Tubi. It had Fabian and Karen Black.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I think
And
I've seen that.
Little Laura and Big John. And he made another one where he just finally decided he would star himself. And it was called Sweet Talker, The Devil with Wings. And it was about a flying televangelist who had a World War I biplane. And I've got a press book for that. And a guy finally came up with a mint 35 print on eBay. And I tried to buy it, but he wanted $5,000. And I said, listen, I'd like to have this, but only because I worked for this guy and I'd like it for historical. I said, and he says, oh no, it's so rare. I want $5,000 or $7,000. I offered him $2,000 for it, but he said, oh no. Well, somebody did buy it, and they did buy it for $5,000 or $7,000. So
I was trying to think
maybe
of the
we'll
other
see
Carol
it.
Connors
Yeah,
movie. I
hopefully.
know it was Sweet Savage with Alda Ray.
Yeah, that's not
79.
That's not a lost movie.
No, but it's funny that she was in that too. Have you seen any of the movies shot at Pirates World that Barry Mahone did in Florida?
I don't think so, but my dad was out to lunch with him and Bill the other day.
Oh wow!
And he pulls out. I was at the original Waffle House. I know you don't need to know that, but he pulls out this little Zippo lighter sized magnifying glass, and it's a cover, and he pulls out the magnifying glass. And he's looking at the menu, and I said, "What does that say?" He gives it to me. It says Barry Mann Productions.
Oh.
It's got to be 40 years old, and it's the day it was made. Because he used to work for Barry Mann.
Can you tell the viewers why you call Doug Hobart your dad?
Well, my father took a hike when I was young, and I knew Doug Hobart. And Doug Hobart picked up my dad's slack when I was a young, troubled teenager and guided me on through my life. And he took me on when I was like a high schooler. And so he's been in that spot for me for most of my life. Till today, and I haven't seen my biological father, and I have no clue. But what was the movie you were talking about in Pirates World? Because I went to Pirates World and saw Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
There is
72.
There's the Santa Claus Meets the Ice Cream Bunny was shot there.
Yep.
Oh,
and so was there's another one that is like a concert one that captures a lot of local bands, and Iron Butterfly's in it for about 30 minutes.
Playing one song.
Yeah, playing one song. Yeah. And then I saw a documentary about it because they even had a kids TV station, WKID, that was supposed to be like a kid-friendly show. But as you know, as Pirates World went on, it became more about the concerts and less about the park. And then the neighborhood started worrying about drugs and stuff that would come in from the kids coming to see shows.
I saw wrestling there in 1970.
Oh, wow.
I went to professional wrestling under the big tarp where the concerts and stuff were.
Wow.
And I was on the MT Graves show. There was a television station based out of Pirates World, Channel 50-something. And I was on the MT Graves horror TV show.
Wow.
72. it's funny because I was in. I went to get. It was Dad's birthday a couple of weeks ago. He's 97. So I went down there to get him and Griffey because Griffey's birthday was the week before, and he's 94. So I picked them both up, and I refused to take him to the Waffle House, the Pancake House. No, it's your birthday, Jesus Christ! So they finally agreed to let me take him to Smoky Bones Barbecue.
I love Smoky Bones.
So when I go over there, and it's been a long drive across Alligator Alley. I said I gotta go. I'm going to use the restroom. I go in there, and above the toilet is a mini poster for Barely Proper. And I look at it and I go, only here is there a mini poster for Barely Proper, the nudist colony movie, Brad Grinter's crowning achievement. And I'm watching Star Trek. We've been watching the original Star Trek DVDs here with the original effects in them. That's the way I want to watch them. And there was one the other night with Richard Webb. And I said, Richard Webb, he's in Barely Proper, this nudist colony movie, because his wife, I think, was Heather Hughes. I could be completely wrong. But Heather Hughes, I think, was Brad Grinter's wife. And Richard Webb was Brad Grinter, the guy who made Flesh Feast. Heather Hughes was Brad Grinter's sister or something. Fact check me. Richard Webb was Brad Grinter's brother-in-law. And they made this nudist colony movie. Are you with me on this? You got what I'm talking about?
100%. Yeah.
There's a Camp Sunshine or whatever there in Davie. And they put on this play. And you could go there with your clothes on and you could watch this play. And they were all naked. So then Brad who was a nudist. Brad Grinter was a nudist colony hangout. So they get the idea that they're going to film the play. It's called Barely Proper, and they're going to make a movie out of it. So Brad makes a movie of the play, Barely Proper, and Doug is the promotional guy. And it plays midnight shows and only on weekends and all this stuff. And then that's how he has this press book hanging in his bathroom. And Richard Webb is in the movie because he's Brad's brother-in-law. So I said, I was saying to the young lady I was with, Richard Webb is in this nudist colony movie with the poster hanging over Doug's toilet and the other day at his house. So I go on the IMDb. Well, Richard Webb doesn't have it on his IMDb. I'm like, well, isn't that funny? Well, Barely Proper is not on the IMDb. There's a movie that's not directed by Brad Grinter, starring Captain Video, Richard Webb. It's not on the IMDb. It doesn't appear on there at all. So maybe it's time for someone to put it on there.
You can add it.
I'd watch it.
Oh, I could. I have a wonderful press book for it.
Oh, man.
After I saw Blood Freak for the first time, I became obsessed with watching everything Brad Grinter did. Because
you know what I found the other day? I found my Steve Hawks autograph photo.
No.
Herschel, no.
You can have it, Jennifer.
Oh my God. That would
When I
be
was a young man, Steve Hawks appeared at the Plantation Theater with his 2 lion cubs.
Yeah.
And he's starring in his own movie, Lord of the Jungle. Do you know he made his own Tarzan movie?
He did.
And he was all scarred because his lions had clawed him up so badly over the time of having him. And everybody knew him. Rusty Hobart knew him. Doug knew him. Everybody knew Steve Hawks. And he had these, they weren't even real photos. They were like printed on an offset printing in light yellow paper. Picture of him with a knife. He was showing his own movie in this theater.
Wow.
Same theater where Ray Steckler had just been with his Mad Mummy doing the Lemon Grove Kids Meet the Monsters and running through the theater in a mummy costume.
Oh, that's amazing.
Only in Florida, baby. They actually went to the Davie Drive-In wearing a Mad Dog Click mask running between the cars for the killers or something.
Yeah, Sam and I were talking about that not too long ago. It's just, can you imagine being, what was it you said, Sam, about imagine being a worker at that cinema, getting the mask and going, here, you have to put this on and run around.
Yeah, have fun.
All right.
I went to the one with the Mad Mummy. I went to the Lemon Grove Kids Meet the Monsters where the mummy ran through the audience.
Oh, that's amazing.
Those were the days.
You don't see that shit anymore, you know?
It's film going experience has come down a lot.
Yeah.
Now you look, if they don't actually shoot you with a real gun. See, people run for their lives for real during the Tingler.
So I'm gonna ask Bill and Sam, what's your favorite Fred Olen Ray movie? Do you have a favorite?
Alien Dead or Scalps? They're like neck and neck.
Mm-hmm. I like this one. This is my favorite.
Oh. That's one of my favorites because it's everything I actually lived through in the early 1970s. You know
exactly. And
right
I
now,
love all the little
mosquito repellent in the car, and then having it blow up on you and fill the car with smoke where you can't see yourself.
That was my childhood too. And I love the little fake films that are being shown at the drive-in.
You know what I liked in that was all the people who came out, all the filmmakers from my drive-in days who came out and sat in the cars and shot the little vignettes. You know, all the different people who I grew up with watching on the screen, or who were directors that I admired growing up, who showed up that night and sat in those cars and did little vignette jokes about their movies. I mean, there were the guys who made movies with Ed Wood.
Yeah.
You know, the guy, you know, who made Night of the Ghouls and Beast of Yucca Flats, and you know, guys who made Wizard of Mars and Dr. Terror's Gallery of Horrors, and, you know, the people from My Three Sons, and just the bizarre groups of people that came out and sat in those different cars and did all those little gags. And
yeah, there's a lot of little, like,
Dave Friedman.
Just little meta things in there that it was kind of way ahead of its time. Like, movies do that now on purpose, but you did it on purpose, but nobody did that back then.
No, you'd lose your shirt today. You'd lose all of your money today if you made that film today.
Yeah.
You'd lose everything. You'd lose you'd go broke, you know, because it's a different world today.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I had a long talk with Dave Dakota the other night, because I hadn't heard from him in a while. But I was watching Creepazoids because it was just there on Tubi, right? So I looked at it, and I texted Dave, and I said, Dave, watching Creepazoids right now. And for whatever reason, it prompted him to call me. And I said, Dave, you know what we should do? I said, we should issue a huge press release saying that we are going to become the Nicholson and Arkoff of our time. And let's revive, I said, it's all bullshit. We'll just make it up. We're going to say that we're going to revive Dimension Pictures. And let's issue a bullshit slate of films that we have no intention of making, but we're going to say that we're going to bring the drive-in back now, just as it was in the 70s. I said, I'm going to make Cheerleaders in Cages, and I'm going to announce a bunch of bullshit films that we're never going to make. I said, let's issue this huge press release, and we're going to fund a whole new slate of new filmmakers and all this stuff, and we're going to reinvigorate the drive-in as a streaming service. And I said, let's see how far we can make this go.
I'm sold. I'm already sold. So I mean, it's going. Yeah,
I'm going to call my broker right after this.
Yeah.
I said, oh, we'll do Cheerleader Hunt, which is the most dangerous game, where they lure this cheerleading squad to this island with this calendar shoot for their high school, and then they capture them, and businessmen have paid money to come there and then set them loose and hunt them with high-powered rifles.
You sold me again. Yep.
Sam, what's your favorite?
Oh man, Phantom Empire is number one.
I like that. 1930s serial.
Yep, that's what I love. And well, Sybil Danning, obviously, I'm easy. And I really like Evil Toons a lot. It's one of the first movies I rented, and I watched it a whole bunch of times. I perhaps was too young when I got it, but yeah, I love it.
Well, I went all over town trying to get that made. I was looking for $250,000, and Roger said, "I don't think you can do it for that." And I said, "I think I can," and nobody would do it. I tacked, as you know, Jennifer, we tacked it onto the end of another movie that we shot 2 or 3 days of pickups on someone else's film, and then we just rented the cameras for the whole week for their film, kept the cameras, and just kept going. Did it for $140,000, and that was SAG, Screen Actors Guild, 35 millimeter, couple name stars, pulled it off for $140,000. The movie that we fixed, that we went in there to fix, which had a much bigger budget, nobody ever heard of it again. Betsy Russell, Vince Van Patten, bye-bye.
The box art's what got me, because it was so cool with like the cartoons on the cover, and it just stood out on the shelf. And
Warner Brothers, yeah.
And I just remember being so excited about it when it came out. I was like, this movie's great.
I'm going to Skyline Drive-In in Indiana in October, and they're showing that.
Oh wow!
They're on the big screen.
That's awesome.
In Hollywood Chainsaw.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
It's hard to pick one or two though, so I could probably think of 5 or 6 others.
I keep thinking of Evil Spawn now since I made my decision. So I'm like,
I like Star Slammer. I like it more because of the story about how you built the sets.
Yeah.
Because now I watch it and go, oh yeah, those are the egg cartons, and there's the palette, and you totally don't see it if you're not looking for it because it's lit so well.
I used to just pick stuff up off the side of the road. If I could fit it in my car and it looked cool, I just stop. I used to go by when I was working the machinery at that lab for $7 an hour. I would have breakfast every morning at Hollywood, not Hollywood and Vine, but at Vine and whatever, Cahuenga, the next road over. And they would throw their egg flats, those cardboard flats that would hold 24 eggs. They would stack them and tie them with a ribbon and just throw them by the dumpster, you know? And I'd go by and I'd say, oh, they've tied them up so neatly. And I would just pick them up, put them in the trunk of the car. And you didn't have to paint them because they were gray already or dark navy blue. You just glue them on the wall, you know? One egg flat looks like an egg flat. 24 egg flats looks like a modular spaceship, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They did that in Alien. For you know, a big budget movie like Alien, there were egg cartons in that, and I think Big Mac containers, those styrofoam things.
Yeah, one Big Mac tray looks like a hamburger tray, but 100 or so of them in a row. It looks like a modular spaceship.
Yeah.
Once you start looking at them, though, it does kind of fall apart. I think the worst got in Cyber Zone, the spaceship. They were using hot dog trays, and they didn't have enough of them, and they really look like hot dog trays.
Well, thank you so much for taking so much of your time out for the show. Highly appreciated.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciated.
Many thanks.
Don't forget to watch my Christmas movies. I want people to know. So people come and they say, "Oh, are you ever going to make another film?" I make films all the time. I make every year. You're watching the wrong channel. I saw that one of my actresses was up for an Emmy for the last film I made. I was very happy for her. And she's up now. I have a brand new film coming up this Christmas. It's called A Royal Christmas Ballet. I had to create my own ballet. And if you think that's not an achievement, I know nothing about ballet. I had to hire my own ballet troupe. I had to find a theater. I had to find the music. And then you think about trying to cover and create a ballet and cover a ballet with a couple cameras. I mean, on a budget. That's something. I make movies every year. You just have to look for them in the right places. And some of them are very much like horror films. Go on Tubi. Look for Deadly Shores, which is my Lighthouse movie, the movie I waited all my life to make. Or look for Stage Fright, which is my Phantom of the Opera movie. These things are out there, and they're some of my favorites. So please have a look.
I like Glass Trap a lot. I thought that was fun.
I hated that when I made it because they were supposed to replace these plastic ants I was using with CGI ants, and they looked at them and they went, "Oh, let's just save the money. These look fine." I went, "Oh no, what are you doing?" And then I saw the movie recently, and I went, "You know what? Those practical ants look pretty good."
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
It's a foreground miniatures with a giant egg pile over an SUV in an underground parking garage where Andrew Prine comes down. And I used gnocchi, which is a potato dumpling that I got in a grocery store the night before, and an SUV toy that I also bought in the grocery store. And I just put it in front of the camera, the toy, and poured the gnocchi on top of it, and poured some KY jelly on top of it. And I had the actor in the background shine a flashlight, and I took a little teeny pin light mag light, and I watched the actor, and as he shone his flashlight at the miniature, I shined my little flashlight on the miniature from off camera to try to match his flashlight. And you know what? It looked pretty good.
It did look good. And
just $20 special effect. All done on camera.
That may have been why I was so hungry after watching it. I was hungry.
I'll watch anything that Andrew Prine is in. You know, if you guys know. Yep. It doesn't matter. I'll watch it if Prine is in it.
Yeah. It was good. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. And shout out to Hound for the Holidays, was it? With the
Dog Nap.
Dog Napped. Yeah, that was a good one. I did like that Christmas movie.
No, that was another good one.
My mom saw that one and she really liked it. So
that was one of the few Christmas movies with a knockdown, drag out fight.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell happened there.
The thing about those Christmas movies is they're all shot in Buffalo, which
that was shot in LA.
Oh, that one was shot in LA. All right. Okay.
It's in the same bar that Piranha Women was shot in.
Oh, wow.
My Charlie Band movie. So there you go.
Many thanks to Fred Olen Ray for hanging out with us and talking about movies. What a privilege to talk to somebody like Fred.
If 15-year-old me knew that I could speak to the creator of Evil Tunes and ask questions, I don't know. I think my life has been a success now.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. So that was pretty awesome.
I don't think he's too proud of Alien Dead.
No.
But that happens to be one of my favorite movies that he ever did. I can still remember when I saw it, when I rented it on VHS. And, frankly, my reaction was, this is it. But going back on it years later, I watched it again and I was like, this is really weird and strange, and I kind of love it.
Those are the ones that we end up gravitating toward, you know?
Sure. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Who calls those movies bad movies? Not us.
I don't like that term.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I don't like
Bullshit.
guilty pleasures. Yeah. I just like what you like. You don't have to justify liking things.
Like, what do you mean it's bad? All you mean is that you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't like it, but there's people
Somebody
that
said that some movie was bad to my wife, and she's like, "You have not seen the things that Sam has seen." It's like, and those are the ones he likes, you know. But that's the things I fall in love with, you know. So, hey, you want to see what came in the mail this week?
Yeah, are we done talking about Biohazard? Or...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got distracted by the interview.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everything that needed to be said was said. I again, like, I hope that guys like Fred Olen Ray understand what their legacy means to people. I can't wait for a nice box set of Fred stuff. I hope it happens one day, just like it did for Bill Griffey.
I'd love like how Arrow's been putting out a lot of the early, a lot of the Charles Band stuff. If they did the same thing, like that video store box set they did, if they did the same thing for Fred, that would be awesome. I would love to see that, and I would definitely buy it.
Damon Brazel, thanks for reminding me of this great moment from Alien Dead. And thanks for that groovy tune, Sun Demon.
Yeah.
Kicked off the show.
There was a short that I watched today, Bill, that reminded me of that. It's called We Joined a Cult, and it's about two guys that are trying to play kickball in the park and end up joining a cult. It's ridiculous. And every cult member doesn't know how to stab people, so they keep stabbing themselves and spraying blood everywhere. It's like torrents of blood in this movie. It's really funny. The same director did a movie called Guts a few years ago that actually physically made me sick, which is an accomplishment. So his stuff's really good.
I haven't seen that, but I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
Like, how could anything make you sick?
It's a movie about a guy who keeps eating his own intestines, like anthropophagus, and throwing them back up and eating them again. And they have to have a meeting at work with HR to ask him to stop doing it at work. It's something.
Ew.
Yeah. I will say, watching the interview, if you listen to the interview and go back and watch Fred's movies, I think I get more out of them now after hearing the stuff he's gone through, especially if you see the end of Biohazard that we saw there. You know, him trying to get the crew to get through it. They're laughing, and he's like, "Guys, come on!" Like, that's your job as a director. Unfortunately, sometimes is you have to be the no fun person. You have to just keep things moving.
Sure.
And so seeing some of that behind the scenes stuff, seeing some of the stuff that he went through, pretty amazing.
If you don't, it's like on Bar Rescue when they always have that one bartender that just gives away all the booze for free.
Oh, his pour counts are off.
Yeah, and is drinking with all the patrons. That's what it would be like if you were a director and you were just pissing your money away by letting your actors goof off.
You can't ruin your legacy, as they say on Bar Rescue.
Or your budget. Oh yeah, your legacy. This is your father's legacy. What are you doing?
I want to do him coming to visit Lombardo Bava on set. Be like, your father was Mario. You're John Old Jr.
That would be in a quiet moment. He'd be like, now your father was Mario Bava. And everybody remembers that. Or Black Sunday. It's one of the best horror movies ever made. Black Sabbath. The band took their name from it. This was your father, and you have a legacy to live up to. Lamberto.
You can't keep making movies like Prince of Terror, where a demonic director shoots golf balls at people.
Or Monster Shark.
Monster Shark. You know what, though? I did say it this week. I did review Prince of Terror, and I think my problem with Lombardo is I watched Monster Shark first. I should have watched like Macabre and A Blade in the Dark in his other movies and his TV movies, and I'd be like, yeah, he's pretty fun. Like I like his movies.
I
But
like
I
The
watched
Blade in
Monster
the
Shark.
Dark.
I love A Blade in the Dark. It was fun. I had a blast when we watched it. I like Macabre a lot because it's got some nutty shit in it, and his TV movies are pretty good too. Graveyard Disturbance is fun, but like, yeah, Monster Shark's rough. It's real rough.
Monster Shark. Well, it is fun. I was
Yeah.
obsessed with that movie because I think I rented it as Devilfish. And
Yeah,
of course, the cover has this. There's a fantastic image on the cover, and you're like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to see this movie." And then you get Monster Shark, but I was still obsessed with it. It was like Tentacles. Remember
Yeah.
my love-hate relationship with Tentacles? The same thing happened with Monster Shark. And remember when Eyes used to sell all those bootlegs?
Oh yeah.
I bought a bootleg of Monster Shark from them, and it was the unedited Italian version. Like, big deal.
Oh,
But I kind of like it.
I don't. It's not as good as his other films.
No,
I think the thing too is I came into the to it, and again, like you said, his legacy, and I was like, oh, your father's the greatest director of all time, and you made Monster Shark, and I think that was not fair to do to him. I'm sure he's fine. Like he hasn't lost any sleep at night.
it happened a long time ago.
But it happened a long time ago, and I think we've gotten past it. He and I've made up, and I'm looking through the list of movies we've shown. But we haven't shown Monster Shark, so I'm gonna say I really think the pool double feature should be Tentacles and Monster Shark together.
That sounds amazing to me.
Yeah,
Although
that sounds like a really
not as
good
amazing
double
as our double feature next weekend.
No.
We didn't even tease it on the
Yes.
first segment. I always forget when it's a late movie that's your one
Yeah.
shot to tease it. Sorry.
2 black and white shockers next week. I would love it's begging for a fake ad of of these playing together.
Actually, I think I found one for real.
Oh really? Oh my god! Wow.
I'll save it for the show. But don't get
Yeah.
all excited. It was just print. There was no
Oh.
image of it. But I'll make one.
Yeah, man. I think I don't want Mike to set himself on fire, but I think that's definitely a double feature
Mike
that we should
Justice,
do.
we already told you it's going to be a pool episode, so like you'll be sitting in the background having a cocktail. You're just going to be like background conversation for that one. You don't have to actually watch the movies.
Yeah. Next week's movies are Night of the Living Dead and The Honeymoon Killers. So super beyond fired up for that. That's going to be a great time on the full 8 o'clock Night of the Living Dead. We're not watching the colorized version. We're not going to
No,
watch the 30th anniversary version. We're not watching Children of the Living Dead. We're just going to watch Night of the
no,
Living
it's the OG Night of the fucking Living Dead. We don't really do movies like that are so high profile and that you already know everybody has seen Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone's up for watching it with us. I know I got a lot of things to say about it, and I know Sam does too. Also, The Honeymoon Killers, just amazing. One of those lightning in a bottle films that it was a one and done director, Leonard Castle, who took over when Martin Scorsese got fired from the production. Martin Scorsese, I think it was a week he spent doing just like this one master shot of the outside of the hospital where Shirley Stoller works. And I could be getting this story a little bit wrong, but it's basically he got fired because he spent too much time doing the kind of shot that would just be something you would do in a morning in an exploitation film. And they didn't like that. So they fired him, hired Leonard Castle, and Leonard Castle really delivered the goods for this movie. And I hope there's lots of people that haven't watched it. I know Damon said he hasn't seen it yet. So hopefully we'll have some Honeymoon Killers virgins. I don't expect to have any Night of the Living Dead virgins, but you never know.
I did watch this week, Bill, the My Life with the Living Dead, the John Russo doc that my friend James did, James Harlan did, and it's pretty good. There's a lot of now I say this because if you're Russo deep cut person like me, and you're like, will he talk about Heartstopper longer than he talks about Night of the Living Dead? Because most people don't want that. Most people want to hear him talk about Night of the Living Dead. I want to hear him talk about Santa Claus and Heartstopper and Midnight 2. These are the movies that I care about. Yeah, there is an animated Night of the Living Dead 2 mode mixologist, and it's horrible. It's so bad. But anyway, there's a lot of him talking. Yeah, it's not good. They changed the story up in it, and it's not fun. But there is enough of him talking about it. He does talk about Children of the Living Dead, which is a movie that is shot in Big Beaver, PA, which is literally, you can see my parents' house from there in it. And there's a scene where they're fighting the zombies in a parking lot. That parking lot is now a swingers club called DJ Island. And you can see the bowling alley, Sims Bowling Alley, where my uncle's league was. So it's like, it really takes me out of the movie sometimes, where I'm like, yeah, well, that whole movie you should be out of. I also agree, like, I saw someone bring up the Anton LaVey-esque creature who causes the living dead. He says in the doc that, I saw George Lucas make Star Wars, and he added all this new stuff, and I figured we could do the same. And jury's out on George Lucas. Compare George Lucas and John Russo. But anyway, that was why he did that. And then he talks a lot about Children of the Living Dead was a failure, and how there were so many the producers were horrible. The script he had to use was horrible. But there's also his gangster movie that he made with Bruno Sammartino in. There's some clips from that. That's the one Russo movie I haven't seen. So, and Eldon brings up Scalpel. I just told Bill that a couple weeks ago that Scalpel is definitely driving us out of the movie.
We'll do that one eventually.
Yeah, that's a definite.
AKA False Face, AKA The Woman in the Mirror.
Yeah, I really like Scalpel. It's very it's a Southern regional movie. Of course, I'm going to love it. It's great. This is the Florida season, though, Bill. Like how we have different themes for seasons. It really seems like we're doing a lot of Florida this time.
There's lots of gators there.
Yeah. Nora brings up there is Night of the Day of the Dawn. There's literally 3 of those movies, and they just Mystery Science Theater out the dialogue. Yeah. There's that. There's so many. Gosh. There's that new one that the Soska sisters did. It's on Tubi that I ranted about. When are we going to get an Amityville of the Living Dead that combines Night of the Living Dead and Amityville? Because they're both,
Was that you that asked me about the colorized version of Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah.
I was texting with somebody about it, and I said it looked like watercolors.
Yeah, it really does. The guys who did the animated
Mike Justice. It was Mike Justice.
Oh, it was Mike. The guys who did the animated one did one other movie. I can't remember the other one they did, and it was decent. This one's just like, everybody looks too muscular, and like they just change up the ending so much. It's just like, it's not good. Hey, thanks for putting the ad up for the podcast. That was really cool. I just saw that.
Oh, did you like that little Easter egg?
Yeah, that was nice. This week,
your podcast is so sleek and beautiful and sexy. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Did you listen to it?
No, I haven't listened to every one of them. I mean, I just listened because I always see them at the worst possible time when I'm at work and I can't listen to them. I can't hear them. So, and when I'm at home, I'm working. Like I don't know what I'm doing when I'm working. I just kind of like go into a zone.
This week's episode is Amityville horror post real Amityville. So Amityville Emmanuel is one of them, and which is horrible. I have a big rant about it. And Amityville in the Hood, Amityville Vibrator, I can't remember the other one. Amityville Mount Misery Road, which started my Amityville journey. So there's a lot on there. And then next episode is episode 36, Bill. So since it's 3/6, it's Exorcist ripoffs. So get ready for that. That'll be on Friday. I'm also doing all the Junesploitation movies I've been covering as special episodes.
Will we hear about Return of the Exorcist?
No. AKA Possessor. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, and I went downstairs when my movies are all in boxes now. And I took Possessor off the shelf and I started crying. I was like, No, what you can guess what two Exorcist. If I had to pick two Exorcist ripoffs, you know exactly the two. If it's not Abby, so it would be three.
Am I
Abby
supposed to say it, or are we
you
creating an aura of
can
mystery?
let's create an aura of mystery.
Okay.
How about that? Yeah.
I know what one of them is. I'm not sure what the other one is.
You know what my favorite one is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know my favorite Eastern European one is. So there you go.
Well, wait, the Eastern European one was the one I thought was your favorite one.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a different one?
An Italian one. What's my favorite Italian?
Oh, okay.
And it has a wacky Rocky Horror related title. There, that's way too big of a tease. Everybody will get it there.
No, okay. I was way off base. Now I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know which one. We showed it on the show, and every time the scene comes with the rose thorn whipping, Becca always shows up for that moment. She's like, "Why do you like it?"
I didn't understand that movie. It was so weird. It was
it's
like
nuts.
Some of it was like this weird phantasmagorical scenes of her experiencing stigmata, and then other scenes were like someone stalking her in a stairwell. I'm like, wait a minute. What kind of movie is this?
It's great. It's such
Other
a mess.
than great, yeah. It is great.
I love when movies I like the feel of movies just to wash over me, and like people are like, yeah, but that didn't make any sense, and I'm just like, yeah, cool. I don't care. Like it's great. So I like movies that I can yell at the TV at during, and both those movies are definitely Sam yelling at the TV movies and being ridiculous the whole time and being happy.
Do you remember in the 80s when they were selling those bricks that were made out of foam rubber?
Oh yeah,
it was called a TV.
You could throw you could throw at the referee during a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get angry at them. I get happy at them, and I just yell out lines from it and stuff. And Kathy's Curse is another one. Like that's another movie that, like, it's so weird that these movies are my happy place. You know, when I watch it, and I'm just like, oh, I know.
Linda Blair desecrated a crucifix. Kathy says a bunch of bad words,
and then she makes a drunk get covered with snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's terrifying stuff.
It's in Canada, everybody's so polite, you know. And so they're like, that's like, oh, this girl, hey, she's swearing. What's that about? And then and she doesn't say sorry. And you know, everybody is like shocked by her behavior. And that's how they do it. Tomorrow on the site, Bill, I'm doing Chattanooga Film Fest all next week. There's some great stuff that's been playing there. And I saw an Indian Jalo today that was really great. And it was about is a COVID allegory movie, but it was really good and funny. How's that possible? And then I'm also doing the Something Weird video challenge. This week is all Ushi Dejart movies. I'm excited about this. I watched Beneath the Valley of the Ultra Vixens. I had never seen that Russ Meyer movie, Bill.
Oh, wow.
It's my favorite one now. I love it.
Really?
So much. Yeah, it's great. I say that with Super Vixens was because I just watched that. I think anytime I watch one, I'm like, this has become my favorite. But Ultra Vixens is.
I like Ultra Vixens, but I keep wanting it to be Beyond the Valley of the Dolls because Roger Ebert co-wrote it with him. And I don't know, like it just there wasn't a whole lot to hang on to. And
that's what I like about it. It's just like nonstop, and it's kind of like Our Town, and it's pretty.
It depends how aroused you are by Kitten Natividad. So, you know, I understand that's probably why you liked it more than I did.
I mean, sure, probably, yeah, yes, 100%. And then finishing out, Junesploitation is going to go all through this week. Bill, I'm super excited because there's some good ones this week for
like what
that I had not seen before. She Beast, I'd never seen. Excited about that. Another Lombardo Bava movie, L'Uomo Sceno Volvela. A TV movie called Death Game, not the Grindhouse releasing movie. And then I've been talking to Bill about it all week. I know Severin's putting it out, but Mummy and the Curse of the Jackals is on tomorrow. Bill, I'm telling you, if we did, this would chase everybody away. If we did Mummy and the Curse of the Jackals and Mummy Theme
This
Park
Mummy
in the
theme
same
park
night.
would probably chase everybody away.
Oh my God. Amazing. I'm so excited to see the Severin version of this because like it's one of those movies like Deathbed that nobody ever gave it to any companies to sell and it still came out on VHS. Like a lot of people think that there was a 16 millimeter print that they were trying to sell in the 80s and a company just took it just the same way that that Saturn VHS one came out of Deathbed. The print of it is battered beyond belief. So Severin found one in somebody's vault because one of the creditors held onto the prints because they weren't paid. And I can't wait to see what it looks like. There's also an adult movie by the same director that's going to be on it too. It's by the same guy, the same writer as Dracula, the Dirty Old Man. It's got a were-jaguar. It has a 5-minute sequence of a guy trying to teach an undead Egyptian princess how to put on a bra and what bras are. I sent Bill the scene where a girl's trying to strip on stage and a mummy comes out and kills her. And then it's one of those movies where
They thought it was part of the show.
Yeah. It's great because it's like 80 minutes of like 2 sentences of story. And when the VHS version came out, they just repeated sitar music and surf rock music for the whole movie and just looped it. So a lot of the same songs will eventually come back, but they're great. I bet like the music in this is so good. It makes the Aztec Mummy movies look like something that's on the Criterion channel. It's great, but it's one of those movies where if I told somebody like to watch it, they'd be like, I could tell Bill to watch it, but anybody else I tell them, they're like, this movie sucks, and I'm like, no, like it's amazing that it exists by the writer of Curse of the Mummy years after he had moved to Vegas and hooked up with a mob fronted company to make movies, and this is what they made and it was never finished, and we're blessed because it somehow escaped, like that's pretty rad. And the girl who is the princess in it was a really famous belly dancer, probably the most famous belly dancer in the US. She only did this in like an episode of Kojak as a belly dancer. But anyway,
I remember that episode.
Yeah, I'm way overselling this movie as I always do. But and Severin's poster art for it is
sooner or later you're gonna have to sell it.
Oh, it's gonna be good. So yeah, I'm excited. Here's what I got, Bill. I'll show you mine.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about what came in the mail because there's 2 movies, 1 movie in here. I'm gonna save it for last.
I rudely derailed you the last time you tried to.
No, this is good. You did the right thing. So I got these are from MVD. This is Journey from the Fall. It's a Vietnamese drama. That's the best. I'm real excited about this. This is from Unearthed the Guyver, which is another VHS.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, with Mark Hamill.
I think.
Screaming Mad George did the effects for it. It's really good. But yeah, they've been working on that for a long time.
Look at Nora sleeping.
Yeah. And are you ready? Oh, Ghoulies 2. 4K Ghoulies 2.
What?
Yeah.
You're out of your gourd.
That's why I want this.
GHOURD.
This is the last one, Bill. Beyond excited about. This is from Synapse.
Oh my God. Sam. Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't seen it, so I'm super excited. And Lee Gambon did the track on that.
Oh my God.
I knew you'd be so excited about this.
I probably shouldn't say this because it's been a long time since I've seen it, but that is embedded in my mind as one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Crocodile.
Yeah. It's a what do you call it? Crocodile Fangs. It's originally filmed in 78 and then re-edited. Dick Randall produced it. Come on, how can it be bad?
Yeah, it's one of those movies where they don't really show the monster all that much. They just show like stock footage of an alligator eye opening and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's been, like I said, decades since I've seen it. And what do I know anyway?
Cutting to stock footage is my jam, Bill. Like when they're like, look, and then you see completely different film stock. It is not Trick or Treat. Seriously, when Trick or Treat comes out, wherever you're at, you're going to hear me screaming about how excited I am about it. That's my dream release from Synapse. Like, I'm so excited. Also, Bill, tonight Severin was showing Rats Night at Terror, and a lot of folks think that that's going to be a 4K from them. You might say, Sam, don't you already own like 3 or 4 copies of Rats Night at Terror? Who gives a shit about this movie? I do. A lot.
You do.
I think about it I think about the ending of that movie every day.
I think that's one of the first things you wrote about for Drive-In Asylum.
It probably was. Yeah, you're like, if you could write about any movie, what would it be? And like, well, Rats the Night of Terror. Yeah. There's a guy named Video in it that is like a video game player. Like, it's a sleeping bag kills people. Like, it's great.
Video kills the radio star in it.
It's so good. I have so many. I know we showed it before, but it's like, it's one of those movies where I'm like, God, I should probably just do it on the podcast so I can talk about it for like an hour straight. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm taking a note to myself. Do Rats Night Terror. There's I will say, a future episode, Bill, Bruno Mattei, his end of career movies that he shot on video in the jungles, and they're great. And a Bruno movie that you hate and I love.
I should like that movie. I know I should, but
I really want you. I want to do it on the show. We should do that.
We can do
together. We should Dawn of the Dead and that, and people will be like, oh, "This is so bad." Like, is that the same music? Yeah, it is.
I just wanted something that was good, like a Romero film, or good, like even like Fulci's Zombie.
No.
Which I did not like that movie after the first time I saw it. I was like, that was stupid.
Oh.
But
the other
movie
I'm the other movie I'm thinking, this is, I don't know this, but, and it's a dream, but Dawn of the Mummy being in one of the Severin announced movies for July 2, that would be, speaking of zombie, that's what made me think. Oh. I was trying to explain it to Becca the other day. I'm like, it's like zombie, but it's mummies and there's a fashion show, and it's so good. I've realized I have a real weakness for mummy movies now. I think I've just really been getting into them. So they're easy. Like, what do you have to do with the costume? You just wrap somebody up in bandages. It's not like,
it's not that simple.
No, and everybody just rips off the Universal one. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the easiest origin. Oh, the Dracula, the Dirty Old Man Bill also pulls the Alucard trick as well.
Oh, yeah. Remember when Peter Cushing made that diagram?
Oh, yeah.
Because he couldn't just hear the word Alucard and realize it was Dracula spelled backwards?
Oh. You got to make a diagram. You know? Kind of like the diagram in Monster Club, where they explain to you the genealogy of monsters. Shriekers. Or with screamers, and they show all the different ones, and it's like,
oh yeah, a Hume Ghoul, a Shadma.
There's so much work in that scene, and it's like then you just forget it. But
Price just rattles it off too.
Oh,
always the professional.
Him and Carradine just hanging out in that movie, wonderful, isn't it? Oh yeah, that's the other reason why I like Mummy and the Curse of the Jackals is John Carradine's in it for literally 3 minutes. They said that they picked him up from the airport, took him to his room, he slept, and whenever he left the room, he forgot the script, and everybody thought he wouldn't know his dialogue, just got up and did it from memory. He'd only seen the script for like 2 minutes. And they said, how'd you do that? He goes, I'm an actor. And then he says, this mold on the sarcophagus is over 4,000 years old. We have an issue with a werejackal and a 4,000-year-old mummy. Goodbye. That's pretty much his line. Great.
Turn down the sound for a minute or two. Haunted Hollywood will be right back.
I love when he starts a movie where he's like just sitting behind a desk and he tells you what's going on with the movie.
Like Fred Olen Ray's Demented Death Farm Massacre.
Yeah, where he's like, it's almost like he's putting his arm around you and he's like, come on. You know who doesn't like that? Christopher Lee doesn't like that at all, because sometimes people do that and then make a whole movie around it.
I don't blame Christopher Lee for not liking that. I think that was rude. I'll come right out and say it.
So here's the thing. I believe him on that. I don't believe him on the Jess Franco that he didn't know there was nudity in Jess Franco movies. That one
Why did
feels
he
like
care about nudity?
it was his reputation. He's like, they had a sheet over all these women, and when I turned my back, they pulled the sheet, and all these women were naked, and they put the sheet back on them. Like, you were in the OSS, like you were a Nazi hunter, like you're a very smart, capable person, Christopher Lee. Jess Franco could not pull one over on you. I've said it a million times. I will go to my this is the hill that I am on. I love Jess Franco, but I will say Christopher Lee he could not pull one on Christopher Lee. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, guess what? Tomorrow I'm on Fright Lounge. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., we're doing all Roger Corman movies. It's our Roger Corman tribute. It's streaming on the Fright Lounge Facebook page. It's on YouTube, Fright Lounge. I believe there's a Fright Lounge YouTube. Also, then is now podcast. We're on Twitter, the former Twitter. You can watch it anywhere.
X.
It's me.
You're on X.
Yes, on X.com. Me.
Heard you on the X.
It's me, Rigor, Michael, and the Prince Regent of EDM, Dantes Alexander from Chicago. And we're talking about Roger Corman movies. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
8 p.m. tomorrow. I forgot to tell the time.
There may be an AC Nicholas article on the site this week, too.
Ooh.
Yeah. And Bill, CB Hustlers. I finally watched it. It's barely a movie. I don't know what. And
Did you keep repeating that? It's barely a movie.
It's barely a movie. It's non-tent. It's barely a movie. I like, though, CB Hustlers at once a trucker movie, a CB movie, a sex movie, and most importantly, a vansploitation movie. How can you go wrong with that many things? Well, you'll be surprised that it really goes wrong. But I'm almost conquered all the vansploitation movies that I know that exist. So pretty excited about that.
Did you know anyone that had a groovy van in the 70s?
No, we had a Ford Custom that it was a nice one. They had all the stuff in it, but not like a groovy one. Did you know anyone that had a groovy one?
Yeah, my dad had a really groovy van.
Or did he?
Yeah, it was like it was this big black, I don't know what make it was, but it was black, so it was really hot. Because we were always riding in the back of the van, which you're really not supposed to do when you're kids.
Yeah.
But we did it. This was the time when you would jump in the back of someone's pickup truck and go flying down the highway. That van was really cool. He had a refrigerator and a sink and this big platform bed in the back. And the best part was that the walls were covered in faux fur. I know, right? And he had like all of his audio equipment was in this like bulkhead over the driver's side. And he had his 8-track tape deck in there, CB radio, amplifier. And I would go out and sit in the van because, sometimes adults would give you their car keys when you were 8 years old. So you could go sit in the car and listen to music. And I would play my Sean Cassidy cassettes in my dad's
Oh, man. Oh,
and he hated
we were just talking about it. We went on vacation to Washington, D.C., and this is probably like 1984, 1985. And it was the same humidity we're having now. It was like 100 degrees, 100% humidity. It flooded. It was, and like we couldn't find a hotel room. And this is pre-internet because, can't look anything up. So we said, well, let's just sleep in the van. And I remember my dad and I were sitting in the front seat. My brother and my mom were like laying down on the couches. And they did that weather report. Like, it was like 4 a.m. It was like 86 degrees with 100% humidity at 4 a.m. My dad's like, what are we doing? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, we're not going to get any sleep. I'm like, yeah, I know. And it was pretty wild. So,
ouch.
Yeah. But
yeah, that was horrible. One year we were in that van and we drove to South Carolina for a family beach vacation, North Carolina. But it was about supposed to be about between 10, 11 hours it took to drive there, and it took us 24 because my dad's van had a radiator leak in it.
Oh,
and like
My-
we had to stop constantly and refill it, and he tried to fix it a couple of times. It was a bad experience.
we had a breakdown at south of the border. I think I've told you about before.
South of the border fucking rules. And for years we did that vacation almost every year for many, many years. And you got so used to those south of the border billboards. And I never went there. I never saw the place, and I was fascinated with it. And finally, we stayed there. Like when our youngest son graduated from high school, we drove to Florida, and on the way back, we stopped at south of the border. It was amazing. It was like being in the Flintstones for real.
Yeah. Come meet Pedro. Every sign. Their signs are insidious. They'll get you.
Yeah, everything was like super, and they had just fixed it up too, because it was sleazy. It was like a fuck motel for many, many years, and like places where truckers would go to get blowjobs. And then they cleaned it all up and they repainted everything, and it looked all brand spanking new, and it was cool. There was no sleaze when we went there.
Oh, Becca stopped there because I talk about it all the time, and she FaceTimed me from there, which was kind of like nice, but not the same as being there, But it's a cool part of Americana. That's why I like it, But our van broke down. My dad had to fix the door, and everybody went and ate lunch. Not me. I was like trying to help him. Everybody went and ate lunch, and then came back and said, "Can we go now?" And my dad was like, and my brother made the supreme mistake of going in the martial arts store that they had there and wanting to get a bullwhip. And he kept telling my dad that he wanted a bullwhip. My dad flipped out. He's like, "I'm hot, I'm tired, don't need a bull." And my brother wouldn't stop it, so he just flipped one of the tables in the van over. My dad's the most gentle person ever, but he had just had enough. He had walked out. And
every
everybody
parent
in the car,
could be pushed to their limit.
Everybody in the car was silent for the next 6 hours. So we got out and filled up for gas again, because it was just I have had enough of this. And then my brother just the whole way was softly crying, I just wanted a bullwhip. And I thought, thank God that he didn't get one, because who would he hit with it? Me. There's no bullwhip for a kid to have a bullwhip.
That's the whole reason he wanted it, Sam. Who are you kidding?
He wanted to hit me with it. I swear. Anyways, South of the Border is awesome. I'll go there again someday. Also going to July 13th, Bill, my big trip. Beck and I are taking our summer trip to Des Moines to go to the cornfield where Children of the Corn was filmed, and watch it in the cornfield with Courtney Gaines, Malachi himself.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, a normal person wouldn't take enough edibles to get fucked up and have to eat peppers in this situation.
But what about you?
But I think this is the best opportunity. This would probably be the best time to take mushrooms for the first time, because it feels like something that could freak me out really bad. I could freak out really badly on acid. But yeah.
Just lately,
my brother said to my dad, and this is what made my dad flip out, Indiana Jones's dad never said no to him having a bullwhip. My dad was like, "He's not real." He's just and that's when he flipped out. Yeah.
That's not a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Nora brings up Price is Right, where they were giving away a van. I got to bring this up, Bill, because I'm obsessed with game shows still to this day. Did you see last week somebody was $1 away from the Showcase Showdown? That's never happened before when they did their bid.
No. What you mean the Price is Right is still on?
Yeah, with Drew Carey hosting it.
No, I haven't watched it in years.
Oh. Well, anyway, the deal. If you're within $100, you get both. This guy was $1 away. That's never happened before. Amazing.
Wow.
Noah and I have been training our whole lives to be on Price is Right. If you ever go to see him in a grocery store, he bets the girls checking him out that he can guess he's like, don't. He'll just add it all up in his head, and then he's usually within a couple cents. It's pretty amazing. So that's his way to talk to girls in grocery stores, I guess.
I know someone that got on the Price is Right.
Oh.
And he made it past the, when you run down to the front and you make a bid. He won that, and he got to go play one of the games. But he fucked up the game and lost. So the prize that he won was like a fireplace set or something for being on The Price is Right.
You know what? My luck would be like, because you can't plan what you're going to be. Like, if you got like Safecracker, the one where you have to like get the exact price, that game's way hard. Versus like the putting game's pretty easy, because if you play golf at all, you can hit like a 20-foot putt. You know,
I wanted to play Plinko.
Yeah, Plinko. I had Drinko. I used to have that.
I had that too.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that game will destroy people.
Did you get it at TJ Maxx?
I'm sure I did.
That's where I got mine.
I think my grandmother got it for me at TJ Maxx. She said, "This looks fun," and then I threw up playing it.
Drinko.
Drinko.
Good idea.
Chris, I have not seen the doc about the guy who hit the showcase spot on, because I also know that guy had been researching the prices with his wife, and that was like a big. There's also the Pressure Luck documentary about the guy who, what do you call it? Who memorized the board. My friend Bill, who died last year, was obsessed with this guy who had like videotaped thousands of episodes of Pressure Luck and figured out there were only 11 combinations of the way the board moved. So he could, if he would recognize it within two moves, and then play accordingly. It's a pretty wild movie. So yeah, the Alpine game is the best game, though. I agree, Beth. That one's good.
Oh,
and,
the Yodeler game. Yeah, I liked that one too.
Golf and the Yodeler are probably the two best. Higher lows, kind of like, you know, they're the same games though. Like, they haven't changed any of the games.
Good.
I mean, that's how it should be. There is a Pressure Luck scratch off game now though, and let me tell you, in Pennsylvania, and that's our 401k. We do Beck and I do a scratch off together after dinner every night.
That's your 401k.
That's a 401k. Yeah, that's for putting our future in.
Are they matching you?
Oh, they're taking more away as a result. They're like, this is an idiotic move. We're gonna take we're gonna match the money that you lose, is what they're gonna say.
Once again, thanks to our special guest Fred Olen Ray for being on this week's program. We really appreciate it. And
how amazing was that?
Don't forget to get Fred's book, Hellbent for Hollywood. And that comes out June 25th. And you can order it on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and enter Hellbent for Hollywood, or just Google it. You'll be able to find it.
It's going to come out digitally and print too. So depending on how you like to read, that's how to do it. But it's amazing that he was on. Like, what a dream come true. So super awesome.
All right. And thanks again, Pat Fisher, for sponsoring the program. If you want to sponsor a program, send us a small donation to groovydoom@gmail.com via PayPal. And we'll put your name in lights in the credits, and we'll even more so, we'll thank you for helping support the program. And I hope you'll come back next weekend for Honeymoon Killers and Night of the Living Dead. Bye-bye.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.